lesson 8 of chapter 4. We are skipping lesson 7 because it's not on the test. Welcome those viewing from home. So we have dividing fractions. We are currently in second period. These guys are ready to roll, wide awake on a Monday. Yeah. Real world link. Oranges. Oranges. We are on page 327. 327. Real world link. Oranges. DeAndre has 3 oranges. Each orange is divided evenly into fourths. Draw 3 oranges. The first one is drawn for you. Oh, thank you, textbook. Aww. Let's make this orange. Well, maybe they really think oranges are cute. Like, cuties. Yeah, cuties. They're called cuties. The mandarin orange. So, the first one is drawn for you. We're going to draw 3 oranges. Imagine you cut the oranges into slices, or into fourths. So, I'm going to do the way that orange slices would look instead of the way that just like drawing lines through it. So I have this one here would be cut in fourths. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. This one here, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ew. Looks like a smiley face, true. But if I were to do it with more detail, it would look like this, I guess. That's what it looked like. A sad watermelon. So we have, so 3 oranges divided into quarters. We have 12 of those slices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 slices. DeAndre will have 12 slices. Find 3 divided by a half. Use a diagram. So we have 1 orange, 2 oranges. We're going to cut it in half. Womp. Cut it in half. Womp. 3. We have 1 part, 2 part, 3 part, 4 part, 5 part, 6 part. Find 3 divided by 6 orange slices. 6 orange slices. Come on, stick with me. When I write, you write so you don't fall behind. I'm trying to move quick so you guys have lots of time to do your homework. Some of you are just catching up. Make sure we are not using a pen when we do this, please. Math is about making mistakes and correcting those mistakes and learning from those mistakes. Now, to divide fractions, this is something you guys have had already, which means your homework is probably going to go pretty fast. It's just like multiplying fractions. So it's going to go quick. The only difference is what makes us different from 6th grade or 5th grade math is we have negative numbers in there sometimes. To divide by a fraction, multiply by its multiplicative inverse or reciprocal. You're going to hear me say reciprocal. A reciprocal is just where you have the numerator and denominator switch what bunk they're on. Okay? So we have the number 7/8 divided by 3/4. That's the same thing as multiplying the multiplicative inverse, which is 7/8 multiplied by 4/3. Notice how the 3/4 and the 4/3 switch spots. That's called the reciprocal. So in algebra, we have a over b divided by c over d is the same thing as a over b multiplied by d over c, where b, c, and d cannot equal 0 because you cannot divide by 0. You can't divide something into equal spots of nothing. Divide 3 by 1/4 is the same as multiplying 3 by the reciprocal of 1/4, which is the same. For example, 3 divided by 1/4 equals 12. 3 multiplied by 4 is 12. So the multiplicative inverse or the reciprocal of 1/4 is just 4 over 1, which is 4. This is the pattern for any division expression. Oh, is this? Consider the following: 7 divided by 8 divided by 3/4. 7/8 divided by 3/4, which can be written as 7/8 over 3/4. I don't like the way that that looks in the book, so I want you to rewrite this. I want you to rewrite it as being 7/8 as a sideways slash over 3/4. I want you to write it like that. Seven-eighths, that looks like an ugly 7. And you don't have to have that line through the middle of your 7. I just do that so you know that it's not a 1. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when we have 7/8 in the numerator, we're going to multiply that by 4/3 because that's a multiplicative inverse of 3/4. Then we have 3/4 multiplied by the reciprocal. 3/4 multiplied by 3/4. We have 7/8 multiplied by 4/3. We just multiply straight across. We have 3/4. 3 times 4 over 4 times 3, which just equals 1. I am almost done working through the homework, and there isn't one like that on the homework. That's actually a little bit harder than it. So it's nice they have an example that's harder than the homework. Your homework is just as difficult as lesson 6 was. If you struggle with that one, this one's going to be difficult as well, but that's just if you don't have your common factors as familiar. Yep. Hey now, why are you so nasty today? So many negative comments. Let's be more positive. Come on, let's leave the negativity for politics, not us, right? Right? Yeah, just leave it for people who are trying to get people to convince them to vote for them. You know, just like let's leave the negativity to them. Let's be positive here, please. I know that so many of you despise mathematics as it is. Let's try to make this as positive as it is and something you might loathe. Okay? All right. Loathe. I'm trying to enunciate since I'm wearing a mask. Loathe is beyond hate. Okay. Find 1/3 divided by 5. So with 5, that's the same thing as 5 over 1. I'm going to find the reciprocal, or the multiplicative inverse. So it's 1/3 times 1/5. 3 times 5 is 15. Comes out to be just 1/15. Find 3/4 divided by negative. I'm going to draw a line and point to that negative. We are dividing, and dividing is the same way as multiplying. Whenever you have one negative, the quotient or product is going to be negative. If you have an odd number of negatives, the quotient, which is the answer to a division problem, or product, answer to a multiplication problem, is going to be negative. So we have 3/4 divided by negative 1/2. I find the multiplicative inverse of 1/2, which is 3/4 multiplied by the negative 2 over 1. I have a common factor of 2, so I can reduce while I'm working through it, so I don't have to do simplification. Speaking of simplification, with your homework on Lesson 5 and Lesson 6 on McGraw-Hill, if you did not simplify, I'm marking it wrong. Okay, I'm marking it wrong if you don't simplify. I'm marking it wrong if you do not have a negative where there's supposed to be one, or vice versa. So we simplify. We have 3 times 1. 3 times a negative 1 over 2 over 1, which is negative 3/2. Simplified is negative 1 and 1/2. So on the homework, on the test, if you have this, that's going to be a 1/2 point. If you have negative 1/2, it's going to be full credit. On McGraw-Hill, I don't have the ability to give you a 1/2 point. That's why it's fully off. Okay? Our test is going to be possibly on Schoology if I can get a computer lab. I'm going to make that test on there so it won't be as not smart as McGraw-Hill is, where I have to go through and grade all your stuff. I graded all of your guys' Lesson 5 on McGraw-Hill. Yes, it's very tedious. It's very tedious. But that's what I signed up for, so hey. And then I'm going to do Lesson 6 after tomorrow when the gray students have theirs all turned in. So I want you to do A, B, and C. I'm going to wait a little bit, and then I'm going to start doing my own thing. We'll see if you have the same answers that I do. So please do A, B, and C right now. I have for A? 3/4, I did the multiplicative inverse, multiplied by 4/1. I had a common factor of 4. So I divided 4 by 4, I got 1. I divided 4 by 4 and got 1. So it's 3 times 1 over 1 times 1, which is 3/1. Simplified is just 3. For the next one, I made an error at first, but luckily I'm using an eraser, or I'm using a pencil. Actually, I'm not, but I'm just trying to emphasize how much I want you guys using pencils. I made an error, and I had to go back and erase some things. So I went back and found the error. I have a negative. I had an arrow pointing to the negative because I know that when you multiply or divide by an odd number of negatives, the quotient or product is going to be negative. 1 times 9, or negative 1 times 9 is negative 9. 5 times 2 is 10. I get negative 9/10. Yes, sir? That's a good question. Do I need to put the arrow on the negative? I don't have to. However, I do, so I remember when I'm going to be circling my solution, am I doing it negative or positive? Which should it be? Yeah, you don't have to. If you don't make a negative error on your own, you don't have to. I like to because it's a little personal reminder of me for like my 20 seconds in the future self, or longer, depending on how your math facts are. For this one, for C, I have a double negative. And when you multiply or divide two negatives, it becomes positive. So I just left the negatives out because I know that the product is going to be positive. I had a common factor of 6 and 3. I divided 6 by 2. Sorry, I divided 6 by 3 and got 2. I divided 3 by 3. I got 1. 5 times 1 is 5. 2 times 2 was 4. 5/4 simplifies to 1 and 1/4. Any questions on those two? 3? Sorry, 3? No? All right. This should be very familiar. The only difference is just that simple rule of whenever you have an odd number of negatives, it's going to be negative. Divide mixed numbers. To divide by a mixed number, first rename the mixed number as a fraction greater than 1. Then multiply the first fraction by the reciprocal, or multiplicative inverse of the second fraction. Make sure it's the second fraction. Find 2/3 divided by positive 3 1/3. Write in simplest form. First, we make the 3 1/3 an improper fraction. The improper fraction of 3 1/3 is 10/3, so we have 2/3 divided by 10 over 3. The multiplicative inverse of 2/3 multiplied by 3/10. We have common factors in all 4 of them. If we divide 2 by 2, we get 1. If we divide 10 by 2, we get 5. Yeah. Yeah, it does sound like the pacer test. Yeah, it's unfortunate that that stereotypical thing that I do is the same thing that someone's got paid for. So, yep. So it comes out to be 1/5. I've thought about doing voiceover work, but I'd much rather be in this classroom with you guys. Yeah, possibly, but if I wanted to be paid more, I wouldn't have gone into teaching. You know? I think I could be successful in a lot of jobs, but I love doing what I'm doing right now. And I've loved it for 13 years. So we have 5 divided by 1 1/3. I need to make 1 1/3 an improper fraction and also 5 an improper fraction. So I'm going to first rewrite it as being 5 over 1 divided by 4 over 3. I need to find the multiplicative inverse with the reciprocal. 5/1 multiplied by 3/4. And I get, there's no common factors, so 15/4. So it's going to be 3 3/4. 3 3/4. Please do E and F on your own, and I will start doing it in about 30 seconds, and you can see if you guys match up with what I have. Match up with what I have. Now it's covering his nose. It's not like we're at Walmart or something. that's what you should have for both of those. Yes, sir? Oh, thank you so much. I knew that I was doing something wrong. Thank you so much. You are 100% correct. Yep. You are 100% correct. Thank you. That's why I use pencils. See, so much erasing, which means that you're just doing exactly what I was doing without thinking about it. Thank you. Good catch. Good catch. Thank you.
I was listening. I was like, okay, I had to do something.
Right. No, I mean, you might do it right. I might do it wrong. And that's why we use erasers. Yeah. Right. Yep. And that's why I show my work, because you guys were able to see right here where I went wrong. And one of you just asked me, I'm repeating what you said for recording. One of you just asked me, where did the 4 go? It's because I didn't write it down correct. Oh, no. I hope that you feel, this atmosphere of this classroom, I hope that you feel comfortable enough to correct me, because I am not too proud to be marked wrong, and I'm not the kind of person that if I am suggested that I'm wrong, I don't take offense by that. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I use a pencil. Wait, did you do this? Oh, no. Hunter. Right. Well, the bottom line is I meant to get that correct, and I didn't. And it's okay if you guys correct me, because I'm trying to teach and interact with you guys as I'm going, so there will be mistakes.
One of the kids, she said, well, once you know everything, then I can just make the order.
Yeah.
She said, please start correcting.
Yikes. No. I'm not above making mistakes. Okay. Everybody makes mistakes. Hopefully they don't have too much consequences. Thank you. Consequences from it, but everybody does make mistakes. All right. The side pieces of a butterfly house are 8 1/4 inches long. How many side pieces can be cut from a board measuring 49 1/2 inches long? To find how many side pieces can be cut, divide 49 1/2. Where's my? Oh, there we are. 49 1/2 by 8 1/4. First, we have to make those gigantic numbers into huge improper fractions. Then we have to find the multiplicative inverse, or the reciprocal. 99/2 multiplied by 4/33. We have a common factor of 33, so it makes it nice and small. So it's 3 times 2 over 1 times 1, which is 6/1, or just 6. So 6 side pieces can be cut. I would like you to do all 3 of these. I will start doing it in about 1 minute, and then you can compare your answers to mine. There's only one method that we've had for doing this, so we should all have the same amount of work shown when I do that. So go ahead and get started on that. So you should have, for the first one, I did the inverse of 1/3, which is 3/1. There's no common factors, so I couldn't reduce it all before I got finished. Comes about to be 3/8. I had two negatives for number 2, so I knew that my product is going to be positive, so I didn't even write in any more of those negatives. I have -3 divided by -6/7. 3/1 is 3, multiplied by the reciprocal, which is 7/6. That reduces to 1/1 multiplied by 7/2. 7/2 is 3 1/2, positive. Then I have a negative there. I drew an arrow to it, so I know you could also circle it if you wanted to, so you don't forget your future self to put a negative in there. -7/8 reduces to -7/2 multiplied by the reciprocal, which is 4/3. 4 goes down to 1 from the common factor. I have -7/6, which becomes -1 1/6. Any questions? No? All right. On Saturday, Lindsay walked exactly 3.5 miles in 1.5 hours. Come on. Okay. What was her walking pace in miles per hour? So that means that miles is going to be in the numerator. Hour is going to be in the denominator with the division. So I have 3.5. 3.5, to make it an improper fraction, becomes 7/2 per hour. 1 2/5 becomes 7/5. I need to find the reciprocal of the second fraction. So that's equal to 7/2 multiplied by 5/7. I have a common factor here of 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 7 divided by 7 is 1. Get me back to my beautiful purple. Which comes out to be 5/2, which comes out to be 2.5 miles per hour. And I'm writing it out miles per hour rather than doing m/h because they asked it as in miles per hour, so I'm answering it miles per hour. How is dividing fractions related to multiplying? Well, the same. Oh, Sampy? What? Where'd that P come from? The same after using the multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse of second fraction. Multipolitical. That would be nice if more politicians were not just doing their two-party system. I spelled it wrong. Multiplicative. Multiplicative inverse. And that's the end of this video. So, class, can you say bye?